Right, good evening, Ken at Tortoise Capital Nightly Strategy Podcast for August 21st, 2024. Start with the sniper trade of the day. A couple of them. This is CLF, which has been our focus stock for a couple days now. On 10-minute charts, here was yesterday's close. Here's the gap up opening. It started to take off right away, and with that size gap and being the focus stock on it, I go long with a R10 risk box on it. My initial targets are the 3 and 5 day anchored VWAPs, and then it can go 70 cents north before it becomes a range stat move. So we'll see what we get. So you can see I entered within that first 10-minute box. I was waiting for just the move off the low of the day to get going. We get about an R on the first trade. I take my exit when the R10 rolls over, and I take the skin of the dragon. It's just above the intraday VWAP, so I'm happy to take an R win to get started. I go short when it crosses the VWAP, hits the PSAR, and crosses that 3 and 5 day anchored VWAP. It comes back to the Bollinger Band mean after the R10 reverses, so I take the dragon skin exit. That gives me an R. I take the 1, 2, 3 entry when it crosses the dragon. I'm front running the PSAR flip a little bit there. And that gives us about another 2R. So that's a net of about 4 on cliff and no overnight risk. This is SPY on the 3 minutes. Here's the close. Here's the open. There's the OR3. Here's an OR3 breakout. This is the size of the R10 risk box. That's a large. It looks large because of the scale, but that's what it is. It's $1. Starts moving in our direction, comes back, hits the PSAR. I scratch. I'm going to stop and reverse. It scratches. I stop and reverse. It scratches. So that's 3 scratches in a row. I just take a break and then miss the upward move. When it comes down back through the VWAP and the PSAR and the Bollinger Band mean, I get short. Notice just how large that R10 appears to be. Just remember, there could be a move of 9 of those off the top. That's what happens when the range is really compressed. It looks to be large moves. This one, the R10 reverses. I take the skin of the dragon exit for about 0.2. This is feeling really choppy, so I wait for the PSAR to break. I wait for price to come across the dragon and the VWAP and the SMA 30. That loses a fraction. I stop and reverse. I gain about a third of an R. There's a 1, 2, 3 entry, and it's a micro. So there was a lot of trading in the chop, and this nets out about 0.5. A lot of work for not much, but they all look the same leaving the station. Last one, looking at U.S. Steel. And I'm interested in that one because it's part of the whole metals and mining complex, which includes for us Cliff Natural Resources and Nucor Steel. That whole complex has been very active. Cliff has been extremely volatile. So this is just part of that sector study. So here's yesterday's close. Here's the open. Here's the OR10. There's a breakout above the OR10, so we're going to get long. Hoping to get it back towards the 150-day anchored VWAP and the 3-day anchored VWAP. That would be a nice target. We get a micro gain. Excuse me. When it breaks through the dragon and the PSAR, I get short with a standard risk. I take a -1 loss. Stop and reverse. It's the same risk on the upside. Slowly grinding, and we get about 1.5. When the R10 rolls over, I take the skin of the dragon exit, and that's enough for the rest of the day. So we net about 0.8 for that one. So today was really a tough day. At a narrow range at the end of a long climb up. So there was a lot of chop, very little follow through in either direction. And that's going to be kryptonite for us. We know that that's going to be a hard kind of a day for our style of trading, but you'll have those kinds of days. Now let's take a look at the traders. This was yesterday. Tim, I didn't get a chance to coach him through that. He gets 2.6, 3.0 total for the day on orderly moves in Devon, and nice reversal through here. His move on Cliff was minus 0.7, but he stalked it for today, and I'm hoping that he picked that up. We'll see in a minute here. I think, yeah, he ends up getting, although he loses a little on this one, there's a better exit here. He waits for this exit, but he does get the reversal, and he's holding 2R and going to hold that overnight. I agree with that. It closed above the previous hump, and that was a strong recovery move up, and every indication it'll work again tomorrow. So that's one that I would also be willing to take a risk on. So that's a nice trade. Hamad, you're still trading inside the chop here. And take a look at where the yellow zone was yesterday. The only trade that's possible is when it gets below 41.77. So this exit on this long is actually a place where you can be short, and it would have paid off a little bit. There just wasn't much follow through in either direction. Same with XLE. I believe that's in yesterday's chop. So we're grinding. That's a zero return. EWZ, either one of those on an ordinary day is going to break out and run. It just didn't today. It was that tight of a range day, so you're just going to get that kind of a grind. And the same with DIA. Maybe over trading on that third trade, but you know what? It's a new low of the day and it's breaking out. I don't mind that trade at all. I think that's a measured risk, and most days that's going to pay off. So I think you're actually in good shape there. Yeah, and Tim, you got to take a look at this. That's a standard entry for Z3 pinch breakout after it held support off of this low. That's one we should be able to catch. There's enough time. There's 2 hours left in the day, so we should be looking at taking that one. And that was your Cliff trade. That was excellent. Jonathan, yeah, I think you did a nice job staying out of this chop in here. I think when you right around this region, when the R10 starts to reverse, but then doesn't and turns winter and it's below the VWAP and the PSARs pointing down, I think this is one that you could reasonably take as a collapsing dragon, which would have paid off. So, but this is pretty good of pain avoidance inside here for basically a scratch day. All right, let's take a look at the daily report. The 150-day look at, we inched a little bit closer to the all-time high, but you can see that the range today was wider than it was yesterday with that little doji, and there was the first serious probe to the downside before it recovered. So I expect tomorrow to be a tactical Thursday with large moves in either direction. I think there's going to be fireworks tomorrow. I'm ready for moves in Cliff and in tech. Yeah, you can see how yesterday's doji, that tiniest little range of the last 30 days, there was a short move up, a harsh move down, held support at the 5-day anchored VWAP and then recovered. So that was the first probing sign of weakness towards the downside after this really nice run up. So that's a zero state, non-directional move ready to go tomorrow. It's starting from 560. So if it doesn't gap, I'm going to have a little bracket on that and ready to follow price in either direction. If it breaks below the 5-day low, that will be a signal for a sharp move to the downside, and I will pound that. And again, you can see the 30-minute trade today was basically a little probe to the upside, grind down a little bit, and then recover. But there's not much wiggle room in there, and so we got to stay out of the chop on those days and not try to overtrade. And for the most part, the guys did that. This long grind has now become a sideways zero state, and now it's ready. It's ready to make a decision. The path of least surprise to me would be the downward move to come down and test the 10-day and 30-day anchored VWAPs, at least to test 556. But that looks like a tactical short opportunity to me. Any breakout above 562, I'm going to reward because you have to. But tomorrow should be an interesting tactical day. We're still bullish volatile, strongly overbought, volatility favoring the intraday trades. The Dow tactical, mostly breakouts today. Let's take a look at the sectors and companies, I should say. So Cisco, Home Depot, and IBM, so old school tech, Coca-Cola, 3M, and Merck. Notice these are not tech leaders for the most part, although there's Texas Instruments and Walmart. So this was more of Main Street than Silicon Valley today, starting to pick up the rotation. In fact, see some weakness in Microsoft. I like the fact that Nucor was pretty good today, so we'll be ready for that. Some more steel companies tomorrow. In the ETFs, it was globals. There's Asia less Japan, European Asia Index, Japan itself, U.S. real estate and consumer staples on strength at Tesla and Home Depot. So mostly good news stories, but not from the tech leaders who took a pause today. So that's why I'm cautious about tomorrow. In the auto framer, just 3, ExxonMobil, DuPont, and oil. Quite a few squeezes. That's just an indication of how narrow the range was today. And look at Tesla is a big squeeze, diamonds, the Qs, and the Russell. So the whole market is in that pause to reflect mode. Maybe they're watching the Democratic convention to see what kind of economic policies are emerging from her mouth. Her idea to put a tax on unrealized capital gains will trigger a recession if that happens. So, Lord help us. Just a couple symbols testing out better than 2-to-1, U.S. Steel and AI. We're back into domination by the summer and the spring. That's all good. Standard names still at the top of our stack for trading value: marijuana, Tesla, Nvidia, Intel. That's a pretty good place to start. I'd be watching Texas Instruments. Their recovery today makes them kind of stand out in the semi space. And this is why I'm a little bit concerned after this harsh sell-off and then this nice run up. We've had a couple days in a row of just stability. And so a recovery back to like 550 and 540 would not be surprising. All right, that's everything for today. We'll get this published and posted, and we'll be ready for them tomorrow. Thanks.